I'm here with actor and singer Robert Vincent Montano, who most recently was seen in Radio City Music Hall's Christmas Spectacular.
Yes.
Before we delve into that, though, let's talk a little bit about when you first decided you wanted to become an actor and also a singer.
Right, so I wanted to become an actor and a singer. Initially when I was 12 years old, I actually started singing before I was acting. And I happened to go into a talent contest where I was only going to play piano, because that's my first instrument, and they had asked me to sing. And one thing led after another, and then I became a singer who played piano and with local gigs out on Long Island, and then I got into I got caught by the theater bug, and my first show was in my middle school. We did Hairspray.
Who'd you play?
Link Larkin.
Link Larkin.
Yeah. And
not a bad guy to play in that show.
And I kind of caught the bug, and I had seen an open call for Radio City, and I went for it just to say why not. My first ever audition, and one thing led after another, and I had landed the role as Patrick. And
not
everything
a bad
took
gig
yeah,
for your first gig?
Everything took off from there. So
yeah.
it's been really exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now that was in 2017, right?
That was in 2017.
Yeah.
And then after Radio City, I had done 42nd Street. I played Billy Lawler. And then during the summer, I had been cast to play the role of Troy Bolton in High School Musical, which was such an experience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was dancing and singing and acting and a whole bunch of other things put together, and it was just such an experience, and I learned a lot from that show.
So Link Larkin, and also just spoke about High School Musical, Troy Bolton.
Yes.
You're playing all the teen heartthrob roles. So what's that like when you're out on stage and you're the one everybody's watching because you're the lead, and you kind of have to lead by example and make sure the other people are, doing what they have to do to make the thing look professional.
Right. So the main thing would just to be having a lot of charisma and a lot of energy, even more energy than you would as your normal self, or if you're pretending to be somebody else not on stage. On stage, you need to be a different person, and your energy needs to be at least 2 times higher than what you are off of stage.
Yeah.
So if I were to give you an example, when I had to play Troy Bolton, initially I just thought, oh, he's maybe like a Danny Zuko, or somebody along those lines with the charisma of too cool for school and very very mellow about everything. But then I realized the more I studied the character and the more I tried to form myself into Troy Bolton, that he needed to be a lot more energetic than what I was giving, especially because he was an athlete that wanted to be going to theater. And the more and more energy you put into the character itself and believing that you're actually who you're playing, the more it's going to come off to the audience as more of an energetic feel to it and more entertaining in general. So
you were also in the 2018 Christmas Spectacular,
yes.
And you're speaking about giving energy. That's a show you have to give 1,000,000% because you're playing to a massive house. And you obviously did, because I took notice when I was in the audience. I was sitting closer than the rest of my family. They made comments how great you were all the way in the back. So that's that's a testament to how energetic you actually are and what you project, that you could fill Radio City with a performance.
Right. I mean, everybody there says, listen, you're performing in Radio City Music Hall. You are performing for 250,000 people in the span of a month and a half.
Right.
You are giving Christmas joy to to millions of people that are coming to see that show. And for you to have the opportunity to actually be able to provide that to people that have never either been in the city before, or have never came to see the show, or have even seen a show, because we had a lot of little kids coming to that show. The Christmas magic in that show is truly and utterly 100% real, and I would not ever doubt it for the world, that it's just such an energetic place to be and such a magical place to be.
Well, you certainly prove the fact that you have the energy to command attention and presence, because it is a big house, and if you can command presence there, you can pretty much do it anywhere.
Radio City was very big. I remember the first time going out and seeing the stage itself. Even without an audience, you kind of get a little anxiety deep down. But the more and more you did it, the more and more magical it just became, and the more experiences you got to experience. It was truly unbelievable.
And now you're still in high school, and you're going to be in Danny Zuko. You mentioned it before,
Yes.
but now you're actually playing another teen heartthrob. Must
So-
be breaking hearts everywhere you go.
So currently, I'm a sophomore in high school, and I landed the role of Danny Zuko in Grease, and I'm very excited to play that because that has been even before I even wanted to act, that has been my dream role, was to play Danny Zuko from Grease. I remember watching the movie for the first time, and that's really where I started getting the interest in like acting and singing and playing a character and being able to perform on stage or in that case on camera. But just to have that dream and then make it come true is just something incredible. It truly is.
Now you mentioned you're still a sophomore in high school. How difficult is it to balance school and work and auditioning and all that other stuff?
It's tough. There are times where you'll get an audition email at like 9 o'clock at night and it needs to be ready by the next day. And on top of that, my school starts at 6:50. I have to be there at 6:50 a.m. and my rehearsal's done until 4:30. And by the time I get home and how much homework I have,
Right.
it's at least 3 to 4 hours of homework. So by the time I go down to sit down and practice it, I either need to be doing it during my lunch in between periods or right when I get home and save homework for later at night, just to be able to actually even go do a self-tape in my basement, record myself on my phone and just send it to the casting directors. And sometimes they're needed in the city as well, so necessarily when we need to go to the city, it's an entire day out of itself. So to catch up with what I missed from yesterday, plus having self-tapes, plus needing to be in the city, plus having to spend time with family and friends, and just have some stress relieving times of myself, which is basically just like playing piano and singing, in like my basement and my keyboard or something like that, or writing music. That is a big stress reliever. So it's tough, but it's so worth it in the end.
Well, you mentioned singing and playing the piano. If anybody who has checked out your YouTube channel, which is linked here in the interview piece, has taken a look at it, they can see that you definitely obviously have the pipes.
Thank you.
But you also have the soul of a singer, and you really encompass what you're singing and make it felt.
Thank you.
Did you have any sort of training into that? Did it something that come naturally to you that you connected so quickly?
I originally started playing piano when I was 8 years old, and I had initially been classically trained ever since I'm 8, and I haven't stopped since. Then I listened to Billy Joel and Paul McCartney, and those two are my two most biggest musical idols ever. And ever since then, I wanted to play, classic rock and pop. And initially, I just started learning by myself because I was too caught up in the classical music with my teacher.
Right.
And since then, I kind of just improved on, what I liked and what I disliked, and the different varieties of music that's out there. And I kind of just came upon that. Honestly, writing your own music is my favorite music.
Yeah.
Because when I play other people's music, I can feel what they're feeling and how they wrote it and why they wrote it. But when I feel it, I feel that and the sense of I'm proud of it. There's a sense of proudness in the music that I write.
Absolutely.
That does bring a certain feel to the songs that I do write. So, yeah.
What type of music would you like to write in the future, or record in the future? Do you want to emulate who you just mentioned? Do you like the pop side of it more? How do you feel?
I would love to give you an example, but I feel like the best way to tell you this is everybody out there that's watching this, or everybody out there that's interested in me, needs to find out and let them decide, because I don't like to compare myself to other people. I feel like other people have worked too hard for what they've accomplished, and they don't deserve to be compared to people that are trying to be them. I feel like if you're an aspiring musician or a songwriter, you want to be yourself. You don't want to compare yourself to anybody. You are who you are, and the different quirks in you makes you entertaining.
Right.
So that's what you need to be yourself.
17, huh?
16.
16.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it from the way you talk and the maturity that you have.
Thank you.
Does that help in your auditioning and your being let down, or your exuberance in booking a role? And you really have to have the personality to be an actor and a singer and a dancer and all that other stuff.
100%.
Seems like your head is screwed on really well.
Thank you. They say that the craziest people in the world are either aspiring musicians or actors. And that's because time after time after time, you get let down. And then you get something. And then you go do that. And you love it every second. And then out of nowhere, it's gone.
Yeah.
And you're back to where you started. It's like an adrenaline rush, that just disappears after a while. And you kind of wonder where it goes, and eventually you have to go back to normalcy.
Right.
And it's honestly kind of like a routine that you have to get used to. It's a system that you have to get used to, I should say. And yeah, it's very, very, you have to have very tough skin, and you also have to be, you have to have a lot of discipline in yourself. You know, you can't just say you're going to go do something, and then, 2 hours later, you're not doing it, and you're doing something else. You need to stick to it, and you need to work one by one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that you must be a product of who you were raised by, because to have such a level head on your shoulders and to be so mature in your industry that you're in, and just in life in general, says a lot about your parents. So.
Yeah, I can't thank my mom enough and my dad and my sister for everything that they've done for me. I mean, the endless support that they've given me throughout these past 3-4 years of just constantly working and, going to the city and auditioning and self-tapes and equipment and lugging all my crap to the beach for, gigs and weddings. It's something that you truly have to be blessed to have, a family like this, and, especially with my mom that's done absolutely everything with me. Radio City 2 years, that's, that's over half a year of, commuting an hour and a half back and an hour and a half forward, back and forth to the city. It's a lot of work, and you have to have a good head on your shoulders, and you have to have a very supporting family to do these things.
Especially for the schedule for Radio City. There were days you had 3 shows.
Yes.
How would that work? Would you do one show and then someone else would play Patrick for another? Or?
So the kids were triple casted, and the adults were double casted. And what would end up happening is there are a little over 200 shows in the span of the run. And they split it evenly amongst the 3 of us, and the adults amongst the 2 casts. And they were each given 2 to 3 shows a day. Sometimes I believe it was a 4-show day that they had at one point, which is props to them.
Yeah.
But our height as children were 3 shows a day, and only 1 cast a year gets that, and it happened to be my Yellow Cast, my cast this year. And it was the day after Christmas. And I actually had Christmas off, and last year I didn't. So it was a great experience to have it for 2 years, because there were times where I was like, oh man, I wish I had a show on this day, because it would be a holiday like Christmas. And there were other times where I'd be like, I wish I had off. And I got both sides of the feel for it, and I was really appreciative for that.
Yeah.
So Christmas I had off, and then the next day they were like, all right, have fun, 3 shows, go.
So while you're still in high school, you're obviously going to continue to hone your craft, and I can't imagine how your voice would improve at all, but where do you think you'll go once school's over? Do you think you'll go off to college, or do you think you'll stay here near the city and look for more work maybe in film and television, or how do you see your future playing out?
Well, as of right now, my main goal is to become a recording artist, and whatever steps necessary I have to do to be there, I will take them. And I do want to go to college. You always have to have a plan B.
Always.
You can't, you have to. So my plan B would be to become a defense attorney. Yes. So I would want to.
That's a big swing in the other direction.
So
You do a little High School Musical while you're being a lawyer.
Right. Yeah. So I would love to go to NYU and do my schooling and take my education there, and kind of just challenge myself and take myself to the next level. And plus, I'll be close to the city. Obviously, I'll be in the city.
Right.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And you can do acting and you can
acting,
do law at
auditions.
NYU, so.
During lunch, I could go run an audition and come back and go back to school. It would be really what's the word I'm looking for? It would be very convenient for me to go to school to NYU and be able to go on auditions and still be able to have that drive instead of having to be locked in a school for 4 years.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. And
Thank you
again,
so much.
anyone who's watching this interview, please go to his YouTube channel. Listen to the kid. He sings like there are no words, really, honest and truly.
Thank
I'm
you.
not just saying that because I'm interviewing you. Really check his music out. and wish all good things for you, and hopefully can sit down in the future with you.
Yes, I'd love to. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.